Welcome to the werewolf world. Subscribe now. The Lunar Tide Paradox, the Epic of Symbiotes. Volume 1, The First Blood, Tainted Tide, The Rift of the Gears. Chapter 2, The Gray-White Pursuit. The Bloody Price of the Shadow, Shifting Ability. The rain-soaked alleys of London glowed with a sickly fluorescence under quantum pollution. Kylan huddled in the ventilation duct of the abandoned subway tunnel. The rustling sound of the pocket watched gears gnawed at her eardrums like insects. She pressed her burning palm birthmark, and the gear-shaped pattern pulsed under her skin, in sync with the rhythm of the searchlights from the distant Silver Cross airship. The footsteps of the pursuers approached, mixed with the growls of metal dogs. The olfactory sensors of those mechanical wolves were tracking her along the broken nail debris. Traces of the symbiote found in Zone 3. The hoarse communication voice echoed in the tunnel, and Kylan held her breath. The smell of rust mixed with a sweet chemical odor drilled into her nostrils. She suddenly thought of the golden retriever in the Foster family, which was the last warm memory she had before being marked by the Silver Cross. The pocket watch gears rusted another ½ millimeter, carving light blue patterns under her skin. The killer from the Shadow Clan emerged from the shadows. Under the hood were lead-gray pupils, a sequela of long-term use of quantum smoke. The black rose pendant around his neck swayed, exactly the same as the totem on Serena's ice sculpture. Traitor of the Blood Moon Clan, the killer's voice was like sandpaper grinding against gears. The speaker wants you alive, but I'm more curious to see if the symbiote's brain will fade too. Kylan groped backward, and her fingertips touched the damp wall. The graffiti melted in her palm, revealing Ava's outline underneath. Her mother had once drawn a sketch of symbiote cultivation here with werewolf spirit genes. The footsteps of the pursuers were getting closer. She suddenly remembered the warning on Sarah's blog. The Shadow Clan obtains the shadow-shifting ability through the color deprivation ceremony at the cost of sacrificing a memory every 10 years. "You smell like a human?" the killer suddenly approached. His valve-shaped pupils glowed coldly in the gray-white vision. "What benefits did the Silver Cross offer you?" His dagger scraped across the wall, and the sparks that splashed were deep blue. It was quantum steel infused with vampire genes. Kylan stumbled backward, her lower back hitting a metal shelf, and rows of glass jars fell to the ground. Purple smoke exploded at her feet, carrying the sweet smell of black roses. She instinctively held her breath, only to hear the killer's low laugh. Too late. This is quantum smoke designed specifically for werewolves. Only those who have tasted pain can become invisible in the shadows. The moment the smoke seeped into her lungs, the world suddenly lost its color. The neon lights of the subway platform turned into gray-white noise dots. The killer's silhouette became a darker gray shadow, and only his pupils were two flickering lead-gray flames. Kylan looked down at her palm. The gear-shaped birthmark was losing its color, like an old silver ornament embedded in the skin. First time using shadow? Shifting? The killer's dagger pressed against her throat. To maintain the form, you have to sacrifice a memory. Choose. Will you forget your mother's face, or the name of that golden retriever? The pocket watch gears suddenly trembled violently. Kylan's eyes flashed with the image of the Icelandic blizzard. The bonfire before her mother's death burned on her retina, and she heard a volf, like whimper in her throat. The next second, the killer's dagger clattered to the ground. His pupils were reflecting Kylan's materialized after image. Ava smiling under the aurora, holding half of a black rose pendant in her hand. Impossible ... double quotes, the killer took a half step back. "How do you have Lady Serena's..." Kylan seized the opportunity and crashed into the emergency exit. The metal door slammed shut behind her. The quantum smoke churned in her lungs, and she felt something being stripped from her brain. What was the name of the dog in the Foster family? She saw herself squatting on the lawn, the sunlight passing through the golden retriever's fur, but she couldn't recall the engraving on the collar. The sound of gears turning came from the depths of the tunnel. Dense smell markings emerged in the gray-white vision. Fear was a rust-scented triangle, and Shai was a sulfur-colored arrow. Kylan stumbled and leaned against the wall, only to find that the graffiti was fading. Ava's outline first lost its color, and then the lines began to blur. She instinctively pressed the birthmark, and the gear pattern glowed faintly, condensing the remaining memory fragments into a flaming wolf's claw. You can't escape. The killer's voice came from all directions. Every wall in the gray, white city is devouring your past. Kylan turned around and saw a crack appear in his pendant, revealing Serena's blood-colored hair inside. It turned out that every member of the Shadow Clan carried the brand of the Blood Moon Clan. The moment the Wolf's Claw swung out, the pocket watch gears rusted another 1 millimeter. The flames tore through the smoke but turned to ashes when they touched the killer's skin. His body was merging with the wall, becoming part of the gray-white world. Kylan suddenly remembered Sarah's report. The Shadow Clan obtains the invisibility ability by sacrificing memories, at the cost of gradually losing their human anchor. Serena should have killed you long ago. Double quotes. The killer's voice became muffled, and his body faded like an old photo. The blood moon needs pure rips, and you're a mistake. Double quotes. The pendant around his neck fell to the ground, and the black rose petals slowly unfolded, revealing the engraved N inside. Serena's surname initials. The siren sounded from the ground. Kylan grabbed the pendant and rushed into the ventilation duct. The blue light of the pocket watch gears penetrated the pipe wall, projecting a semi-transparent Wolf shadow on the top of the tunnel, which was the surveillance footage of her first awakening. The footsteps of the pursuers suddenly disappeared, replaced by a sticky, swallowing sound. The walls of the gray-white city were digesting the killer's memories. She stopped at the exit. The moonlight passed through the grill and landed on her palm. The gear-shaped birthmark was still hot, but there was a hint of cold metal touch. It was Serena's silver finger caught. In the reflection in the killer's pupils, she had once used this finger caught to pierce Ava's heart. 0428, coordinates confirmed. Sarah's blog was automatically updated, accompanied by a photo in which Kylan's semi-transparent Wolf shadow was overlapping with Ava's graffiti on the wall. When the photo developed, the graffiti suddenly seeped out blue light, forming a string of quantum codes. It was the heartbeat frequency of the Arctic ice sculpture, and also the hidden symbiotic key in Kylan's genes. The sound of liquid metal flowing came from the depths of the tunnel. Kylan stuffed the black rose pendant into her collar. The gear-shaped birthmark resonated with the pendant, and she saw Serena standing in front of the ice sculpture 10 years ago, the silver finger caught stained with blood for the first time. In reality, her nails were growing back, and the Wolf claw patterns with human fingerprints were gradually disappearing in the moonlight. Next time we meet, I'll remember your smell, she whispered to the shadow. The pocket watch gears beat like a heart in her palm. In the gray-white vision, Ava's graffiti completely disappeared, leaving only a gear-shaped notch, much like the first crack on the Arctic ice sculpture. This episode ends, but the story continues. Subscribe now.